Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. Shout out to, write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Shout out to Kamoya. Shout out to Alina. Shout out to Lola. Write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Shout out to Riley. Hello everyone, welcome. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Camila. Shout out to, did I get everyone? I think I got everyone. Welcome, Camila, I got you. Shout out to Jackson. Shout out to is it really? Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Addie. Shout out to Taraya. Shout out to Michelle. Shout out to Sylvie. Shout out to Leonel. Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Shout out to Joshua. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Cassidy. Shout out to Skylar. Shout out to Chansey. Shout out to Christina. Shout out to Brittany. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Had. Shout out to Chansey. Shout out to Liv. Thank you for liking the video. Shout out to Liv. Shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Jimin. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Reese. Shout out to Sterling. Shout out to Delia. Shout out to Arlene. Shout out to Paige. Oh, I spelled Paige wrong. Shout out to Paige. Shout out to Tola. Shout out to Naira. Shout out to Bristle. I forget what the rupees are for. I'm so sorry. I saw someone put a rupee and I forgot what it's for. I don't know what to do. Shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Christina. Shout out to Aria or Araya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Kaisley. Shout out to Jasmine. Shout out to Joey. Shout out to Devin. Shout out to Sadie. Shout out to Melanie. Shout out to Mateo. Shout out to, is it Krina Valthor? Thank you for subscribing. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Harnor. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Jaslyn. Shout out to Mona. Shout out to Namira. Whoopsie, I messed up. Shout out to Namira. Shout out to Christina. Shout out to Cooper. Shout out to Jaleesa or Jalisa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Halima. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Tanya. Shout out to Nina Ray. Shout out to Rochelle. Shout out to Heather. Shout out to Cream Cheese Bagel. Shout out to Adrian. Shout out to Delaney. Shout out to Brittany. Shout out to Kayla. Shout out to Nova. Shout out to Heather. Shout out to Jacob. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Valeria. Shout out to Destiny. Shout out to Isaac. Shout out to Emma. Shout out to Murphy. Shout out to Milo. Shout out to Josiah. Shout out to Cece. Shout out to Kiara or Kira. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Ava. I'm sorry for your loss. Shout out to Billy. Shout out to Cynthia. Shout out to Elam. Shout out to Faith. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Kendra. Shout out to Joel. Shout out to Renaya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Ariel. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to Reese. Shout out to Zara. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Pedro. Shout out to Hazel. Shout out to Nina. Shout out to Valerie. Shout out to Dinga. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Sylvia. Shout out to these people. Thank you so much for being here. On to the next page. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shout outs. I live stream every day. And I also post other content. I hope you can check it out and support as well. Thank you so much for being here. Write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Shout out to Paisley. Shout out to Taylor. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Amethyst. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Jace. Shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Nutsa. Thank you for your patience. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Isla. Shout out to Hector. Shout out to Addie Lucas. Shout out to Sadim. Shout out to Jaina. Shout out to Hope. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Maylin. Shout out to Helen. Shout out to Rebecca. Shout out to Janita. Shout out to Shyla. Shout out to Rue. Shout out to Anaya. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Trinity. Shout out to Janine. Shout out to Maylin, or Mylin. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Kim. Shout out to Avery. Shout out to Clara. Shout out to Isabel. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Anthony. Shout out to Nevea. Shout out to Katu. Shout out to Alex. Shout out to River. Shout out to Keegan. Shout out to Lindy. Shout out to Hazel. Shout out to Yash. Shout out to Odin. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Stella. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to Ayath. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Anaya. Shout out to Lila. Shout out to Felix. Shout out to Eden. Shout out to Charlie. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Cameron. Shout out to JJ. Shout out to Diana. Thank you for liking. Shout out to Yunche. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Journey. Shout out to Aisha. Shout out to Tyrone. Whoopsie, I messed up. Shout out to Elena. Shout out to Peyton. I got you, Tyrone. Shout out to Eddie. Thank you for your patience. I'm so sorry that I'm not writing fast. I wish I could. So I appreciate you taking the time to write your name. Thank you for your patience. Shout out to Grayson. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to Heaven. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Isiani. Shout out to Isaiah. Shout out to Campbell. Shout out to Gutri. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Ruby. Shout out to Sarah. Shout out to Rylan. Shout out to Nathan. Shout out to Felix. Shout out to Carolyn. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Kaden. Shout out to Pablo. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Han. Shout out to Tatum. Shout out to Cambry. Shout out to Soon Min. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Thomas. Shout out to Zai or Zay. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Stella. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Lee. No. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to J Mac. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Robin. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Johnny. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Changbin. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Waylon. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to London. Shout out to CJ. Shout out to Tally. Shout out to Shania. Shout out to 9. Shout out to Valeria. Shout out to Mariana. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Kim. Shout out to Olivie. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to IN. Shout out to Peyton. Shout out to Randy. Shout out to Alina. Shout out to Finn. Shout out to these people. Thank you, Janae. On to the next page. Thank you for your patience. I truly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shoutouts. I also post other content. I hope you can check it out on my channel. I hope you can leave likes around some of the videos. I would truly appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Treasure. Shout out to Vanessa. Shout out to Bang Chan. Shout out to Mariana. Shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Gian or Gian. Shout out to Scotty. Shout out to Brady. Shout out to Felix. Shout out to Yoon Jin. Shout out to Flix Shorts. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Samantha. Shout out to Brianna. Shout out to Kaya or Kaya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Juliana. Lillian. Shout out to Amron. Shout out to Ivana. Shout out to Carly. Shout out to Brayden. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to Ruby. Shout out to Fajri. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Liban. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Lisa. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to Devin. Shout out to Adrian. Shout out to Stella. Shout out to Hibak. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Rose. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to Austin. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Stray Kids. Shout out to Addie. Shout out to Moses. Shout out to Mauro. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Diana. Shout out to Haley. Oh, Haley, I got you. Shout out to Hazel. Shout out to Ariane. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Jenny. Shout out to Lena. Shout out to May, I got you. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Trisha. Shout out to Aubrey. Wishing you all the best, Aubrey. Shout out to Josh. Shout out to Raphael. Shout out to Miss Gleason. Shout out to Manon. Shout out to Rafa. Shout out to Neymar. Shout out to Liam. Shout out to Jalaya. Or Jalea. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Alicia. Or Alicia. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Please leave a like if you enjoy the live stream. I also live stream every day, so please subscribe so you know when I'm going to go live stream.